Hello, this is Daniel from sound.headquarters.inc. In today's video, I'm showing you how to build these backlit acoustic panels and how to install them. This was a really cool project. Here's a little sneak peek, and I'll show you step by step how we went about this build. So the first thing we're going to do is build the frames for our acoustic panels. I'm using 2x2x8 lumber, and I'm just measuring to size of what my client ordered. This client ordered for me a bunch of our standard size 2x4 foot panels and also some 6 foot tall panels for the rear wall. So we're just getting all of our lengths cut. And then once we have all of our pieces cut, then we can start the frame assembly. I like to keep all my pairs together just to make sure that all of my cuts and sizes are nice and consistent with each other. Here we are about to screw these frames together. So I like to lay everything out on the floor because I use the floor as a guide for my drill. You'll see this right now. So I like to do 2 pilot holes on each corner, and I use the floor as a guide, and I keep that bit closer to my side. So a little bit further away from the floor. You can see where I put both of those screws. This is so when we run the frame on the router as the next step, the router does not hit any of those screws. So there you can see all of our frames assembled, 2 screws per corner, all pre-drilled so we don't split any of the wood. And there is our router. This is what's going to provide our 45-degree chamfered edge that we like to put on all of our panels. And the first pass just gets rid of the majority of the wood, and the second pass gives me that nice, clean, consistent cut. So I like to do 2 passes on every side, and there you can see that nice 45-degree chamfered edge that this router provides. Just adds a nice touch to these panels. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all of these frames routed, and then we'll be able to move on to the next step, which in the case of this job, this is a step that normally I would not do due to the way that we mounted these panels off of the wall with a little bit of a space for the lights. I'm adding a middle brace down the center of the panel to give me some solid wood to be able to attach the mount to later, which you'll see in a few minutes. So there is our first middle brace. You can see this is the front side of the panel. So that middle brace is on the rear side of the panel, which will be facing the wall. So now it's time for fabric. We're just using a standard polyester black for the rear of the panel. I like to do all 4 of my corners first with the stapler. And then I just go ahead and just give some light tension all the way around, get it all stapled on and cut off the excess, just like that. Here's the acoustic insulation that we're using. This is what's available to us here in Canada. This is Rockwool Comfort Board 80. It's a semi-rigid acoustic insulation product. And I'm just scoring out some of that insulation so that it can fit nice and flush for the space for that brace that we just put in. Here's the front fabric we are doing. We are doing this is a wool blend. It's like kind of a 2-tone white and almost like a pink kind of color. Pretty cool color, and fabric has a lot of nice texture to it, which you'll see in a second. And just folding everything over, making sure that our corners are nice and neat. I have tons of videos on my channel of how to upholster acoustic panels. Feel free to check some more out if you like. And that is the finished look. And you can see that nice texture on the fabric. Just gives a little bit more of a distinction and just a cool look. The client picked out this fabric, and this is the first time we've used this particular color of this fabric, so it's always cool to do new stuff for jobs. So here is the room that we're going to be installing in. This is a commercial studio located in the Scarborough area in Toronto, and pretty cool spot. And getting to start up at this stage of the job when everything is nice and fresh and they just finished painting the walls. This is perfect. Nice clean slate for us to come in and do our thing. So since we have our bracing on the rear side of the panels, now we have to have some sort of mount on the walls that's going to give us that 3/4 inch of space off the walls for us to mount all of our LED lighting and have the light be able to shine through. So essentially what I'm doing here is I'm making about 3 foot tall wooden braces, and I'm using my spade bit to drill out the center just so I can see my laser line through the wood. And then I'm using my drill to make me some pilot holes through the drywall so I know where to drill my anchors, because these are going to get screwed into the wall with drywall anchors. So I can just hold the piece of wood in place where it's going to get mounted. I can use my small drill bit to make a few pilot holes through the wood and into the drywall, so I know exactly where they need to go. And then once I put in all my anchors, all my drywall anchors, we can just screw it in, and it's going to be rock solid. It's going to be super secure. So you can see I'm drilling out the holes there with the larger bit. I'm hammering in my drywall anchors, and then I can just screw the wooden brace into those anchors, knowing that it's going to be completely solid and knowing that it's going to line up to all the pilot holes that we just made earlier. So you can see just getting that final adjustment there, making sure it's all nice and straight and level. And there we go. So this is what's going to be going around the whole room, setting up the laser, matching my center line with the laser to make sure everything stays nice and consistent. You can see I'm putting that flush mount hanger on the very top of that wooden brace, and that's going to be the hanger that holds the panel. So on the rear side of this panel, we're going to put that same flush mount hanger, but in the opposite direction. And now we just have to get the measurement right for the desired height for this client. So it was just a few inches down. Normally we would put this flush mount hanger at the top of the panel frame, and we wouldn't even have a middle brace. We would just screw right into the top of the panel frame. But just for the circumstances of this install and wanting to have that nice air gap, which actually does improve the desired effect of the panels, makes them a little bit more effective in lower frequencies. You can see those braces on there and the flush mount hanger. So we're just going around the room getting these mounted. We got all of the 4-foot panel braces mounted. And then we had slightly longer braces for the 6-foot panels and reset the laser just to make sure that those were at the right height for where we wanted those to sit. And just working in the vocal booth as well and just keeping my laser set up at the same height. And this just adds a really nice consistency around the whole room. It's always nice to have your finished install just be nice and consistent all the way around the whole perimeter of the room. And these are the braces for the 6-foot panel frames you can see right there. And we had 2 6-footers in the booth there and then 4 on the rear wall. So this is how I space out my rear wall. So 191 inches is the length of the wall divided by 2. So I have my center mark. 27 times 4 is the width of our panels. So 191 minus that 108 gives me our drywall space. And then so I know that 16.6 inches is going to be my gaps panel to panel. This will make sense as I put these up in a moment. So I find my center mark right there. I'm marking out where all my panels are going to end and all my gaps. And then just the same process of doing the pilot holes, the anchors, and getting those braces put in. So here's the client right here, just helping me get these panels put up. And there's the front area of the mix position. Coming together pretty cool. Here are the LED lights that we're putting on. Now, initially, the whole reason why I wanted to do this kind of central brace that had a full kind of 360 space around it was I wanted to mount the lights on the brace itself so it shined outward from behind the panel. But we tried that and it just wasn't bright enough for the client and didn't kind of give us the desired effect we were looking for. So what we did was we just stuck these just around the outside perimeter of the panel right to the rear of the fabric. And that's just allowed us to have that more kind of light dissipating from the rear side of the panel. And you can see it turned out really well. It wasn't, the plan didn't come together as it was initially planned out, but we just have to work on the fly sometimes and just adapt, right, as we install these jobs. So it's a cool learning experience for me and really cool final product for the client. There you can see us testing all the lights. These are all music activated. It's all smartphone enabled, group controllable, all that stuff just to have everything nice and convenient for the client. This is the very last step. This is all of the cable management we're doing. This is just like plastic small conduit essentially, and it's just peel and stick. So what I did was I set up my laser above the electrical outlets of the room, and you can see I'm just sticking on this mini plastic conduit, and it has available couplings, like you can see the right angles, the flat couplings, and just sticking everything on nice and neat. It's just a nice touch of cable management for these LED lights, just to give the room a way more professional look. And it also gives the client flexibility if they ever need to run any more wires. They can always tap into these conduits just to have everything be nice and neat. There you can see those couplings just snap on at any of the joints to give you a nice finished look. And here's the nice finished assembly with the wire tuck. You can see it's just a nicer look. The client wasn't sure if he's going to paint those to match the wall. He kind of looks how they look in white, and it looks pretty cool to me as well. What's good is that they are paintable. The client can always paint these at a later date if he decides to. And there you can see just some more of the wire tuck. Just nice and neat, just to give us a nice, more professional look. And make sure the client's happy, make sure that all of the customers in the studio are happy, everyone has a good experience. Here is the vocal booth. You can see we really tidied up all those wires there. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Daniel from Sound Headquarters. Please subscribe for more studio building content. Peace out.